Hi, I'm Nick Shell, and you're watching this video because I assume that you watched me perform my newest song right before this, which I'll put a link below so you can check me out performing it live. This is a song called Deep Dive. I haven't recorded any new songs in about 3 months, I think. Took a break from that. My whole goal is to write at least one song per month for each year, and I've been doing that since 2020, and usually I do more than 12. This year I got halfway through, I believe, and just kind of got tired of it. I thought, am I even going to do this anymore? And I think it's because I needed to, instead of finishing the last 6 songs that I'd already written for this year, I actually had to write a new song and sort of assess where am I now? Because those 6 songs that I wrote for the rest of this year were written last year, and I feel like I have learned so much about myself this year already. And I had to write this song before I could continue doing this anymore. So here are the words to Deep Dive. Used to think I needed a time machine so I could go back with what I know now. Used to think of it as a fantasy to rewrite a better life because then I would know how. So this is true about me. It's only quite recently that I got to the point in my life and I thought, I don't need to go back and change anything so that I could have a better version of my life now. And I think it has something to do with me turning 44, which was not that long ago. And I think for the first time, I think, you know what? I've got enough life experience where I can move forward with what I already have and use that for my future, whatever I've got left in my life. I mean, in theory, the average American man lives to be 74, and I'm 44. So I've got these, ideally, 30 years remaining, not to go back in time, but to just live the rest of my life moving forward with what I already know. I now have that advantage. And I think there's a certain point in life where you can actually think, okay, we're never going to have all the answers, but I've got enough life experience now, which going into the pre-chorus, a deep dive opened up my mind, looked around, saw what's inside of my own brain. It's all right. I've got the answers thanks to those past disasters. So in other words, you learn from what went wrong, not that life is necessarily as clear-cut as that it's success and failure, but ultimately you learn from what went wrong, what you had to learn from, and that allows you to move forward with the answers that you need ahead. So the actual chorus says, so it seems I couldn't see the forest for the trees. So many things I think were obvious but lost on me. I laughed, I cried, I tried to take it in and learn from it. It's like I did ayahuasca. So the concept is this, and of course I was very inspired by Aaron Rodgers. He has a Netflix documentary where he explores this. I believe he's the same Enneagram as me, Enneagram 8, Wing 7. It's this idea that you want to be in control of everything, specifically anything you can of your own life. It's hard to let go, it's hard to be vulnerable. And after watching that documentary, and I've seen him talk about ayahuasca before on, I guess, Joe Rogan, and I thought, I feel like that's what's happened to me this year as I've dove a little deeper. I'll get to the second verse and then I'll circle back. The second verse is, I used to think that I needed validation, or actually, used to think I needed confirmation of my abilities and my identity. Used to think I needed validation, might have imposter syndrome, just getting the best of me. So there's the whole song. And this concept is, and what it really inspired this, was at the beginning of this year, 2025, I made a joke that, oh, it's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to become more vulnerable and more in touch with my emotions. It was a joke. I make fun of people who do New Year's resolutions, but if you really wanted to change, you'd change right now. Again, that's an Enneagram 8 thing, if you can relate to all of that. So I started exploring and realizing that, oh, I'm actually Enneagram 8. I have this whole idea of I'm trying to control everything. It's hard for me to actually be vulnerable. So that explains why it was a joke that I would even make this New Year's resolution that I'm trying to become more in touch with my emotions and more vulnerable, because that's the hardest thing for an Enneagram 8 to do. And I realized I'm a very intense person. I'm very driven by power, by intensity, by joy, by passion, by anger. Not so much the vulnerable emotions like shame and guilt and fear and sadness, not so much of those things. So I started exploring that and realizing that, well, why am I having such trouble letting go of certain things? And I realized ultimately it's about, Enneagram 8, if you look into that, like I am that. I thought there was a stereotype of what that meant, that you're just this, I guess this monster of a person, that you're just angry and shouting all the time. And well, as I started listening to people around me, I guess I am more, probably the word is intense, than I've been giving myself credit for. And that is who I am beneath all of this. It's hard to know who you are. It's hard to know, hey, just be yourself. Well, what does that mean though? I thought I was all these other things. So in the chorus where it says it seems I couldn't see the forest for the trees. So many things I think were obvious to everybody else, but lost on me. I laughed, I cried, I tried to take it all in and learn from it, which is the ayahuasca experience, which I have not personally experienced, but I'm saying it's like I did ayahuasca because it was this emotional experience. And I've learned specifically my subtype for Enneagram 8 Wing 7 is the sexual subtype, which is the very emotional subtype, which is a bit of a paradox for someone who is so intense. You don't necessarily think of that as emotional, but the emotions I do feel, I guess I feel and express more intensely than everyone else. And everything's hyped up, including my perception of what's going on. So that's why I say in the pre-chorus, a deep dive opened up my mind. Looked around, saw what's inside. It's all right, I've got the answers thanks to this past disaster. So this song is called Deep Dive, and I feel like that is the best title for not only the song, but for what's gone on this year, is I have allowed myself to actually be more vulnerable and to understand my own emotions better. And it's strange, I'm using the word paradox so much when I write songs and when I explain them, but it's that the reality is I'm wired very much like a man because I am one, but at the same time, I'm wired very much like a woman in that women are more emotional. So I'm a more emotional man, but I'm very much tied up with my own masculinity as far as what masculine energy is. It's being calm, it's being assertive, it's being logical. Whereas feminine energy is going to be chaotic, it's going to be more of that emotional turmoil. So I think inside of me, like, I feel both of those. I can feel the intensity of this assertive masculinity, but I also feel the emotions quite intensely like a female would. So it's the best of both worlds or the worst of both worlds, however you want to word that. And I think understanding that has helped me realize that. I knew that I thought very much like a more stoic masculine man, like as far as how that goes, but I'm not one to talk about my fears or anxiety. That's not who I really am in real life, because I feel like I have to maintain this certain concept of I'm in control so that other people don't worry. And that's very masculine. But to recognize that I have emotions and I feel certain ways and to talk about that and express that, that's more of the feminine. And maybe it's that this is the whole human experience, that we're supposed to feel both of those. And maybe it's that because I feel weird, I feel strange, I feel like I'm living a different existence because I feel all of these things. I'm aware of all of these things. And I have to sort of go inside my own mind and unpack what's really going on. So this is a song about understanding how to be vulnerable when at the same time you're trying to not be vulnerable. That's kind of, I guess, the story of my life. As messy as it sounds, that's what the song is about, and that's the, quote, journey it took for me to write this. I'd love to hear from you. Comments are right here, along with the link where you can hear the song.